Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Yesterday we have discussed anemophily, that is pollination by wind. Today we will take up hydrophily, that is pollination by water or water pollination. And in the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma through the agency of water is called hydrophily, and such flowers as hydrophilous flowers. And the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma through the agency of water is called hydrophily, and such flowers are known as hydrophilous flowers. The hydrophilous flowers are characterized by the following features. Hydrophilous flowers are characterized by the following features. Number first, the flowers are small, colorless, odorless, and nectarless. And in the flowers which pollinate by the agency of water, they are small, colorless, odorless, and nectarless. Number second feature is the flowers are unwettable. Flowers are unwettable. This is the most important and characteristic feature of these hydrophilous flowers, that is, flowers are unwettable. All other flowers are wettable except hydrophilous flowers, which are unwettable. Number third, the stigmas are long and sticky. Number fourth is the pollen grains are generally needle-like, as in Zoostera. Zoostera is an example, an aquatic plant in which pollen grains are generally needle-like. And these are the four characteristic features of hydrophilous flowers. That is, the flowers are small, colorless, odorless, and nectarless. Number second, flowers are unwettable. Number third, stigmas are large and sticky. Number fourth is the pollen grains are generally needle-like. Example is Zoostera. Now the pollination may take place in flowers occurring below the water or above the water surface. The pollination may take place in flowers occurring below the water or in flowers floating on the water surface. If it takes place in flowers occurring below the water, it is called hydrophily, and such flowers as hydrophilous flowers. Hypohydrophily, and such flowers as hypohydrophilous flowers. And if it takes place on the surface of the water, in flowers floating on the surface of the water, it is called epihydrophily, that is above the surface of the water. And we have two types of hydrophilous flowers: hypohydrophilous flowers and epihydrophilous flowers, or we can say hydrophily are two types: hypohydrophily, epihydrophily. The examples of hypohydrophilous flowers are Najas, Ceratophyllum. Similarly, the examples of epihydrophilous flowers are Vallisneria and Hydrilla. These are the two examples of epihydrophilous flowers. Now, number third type of pollination is, and we have discussed now two types: anemophily, that is wind pollination, and hydrophily, that is water pollination. Now, third type that is Entaemophilly, which is also known as insect pollination. And it transfer pollen grains from the anther to the stigma through the agency of insects is called Entaemophilly, and such flowers are known as Entaemophilous flowers. The pollination where the pollination agency is insects, it is called Entaemophilly, and such flowers are called Entaemophilous flowers. The most common insect pollinators are moths, bees, flies, wasps, butterflies, etc. And out of these, about 80% of the insect pollination is with the help of bees. And honeybees perform about 80% of the total insect pollination. Now, although many insects take part in pollination, many insects act as pollinators, but 80% of the insect pollination is by bees or with the help of bees. Now, the characteristic features of the Entaemophilous flowers are the flowers are usually large, brightly colored and showy to attract insects. The first feature of these flowers is the flowers are large, brightly colored and showy to attract insects. We have seen in other two types, that is Hydrophilly and Entaemophilly, that flowers are small, colorless. But here these are large and brightly colored and showy to attract the insects. Small flowers are bunched. Small flowers are bunched together to attract insects. And we have in some plants we have small flowers, but they are bunched together to form a large, what we call as inflorescence, a group of flowers, a clutch of flowers, a bunch of flowers to attract insects. For example, we have seen sunflower. Sunflower is not a single flower, but it has an inflorescence. It is a bunch of flowers. And we can say small flowers are bunched together to attract insects. Number third, different colors of flowers attract different types of insects. Different colors, and we have different colors of flowers. Different colors of flowers attract different insects. Different types of flowers, they attract different insects. For example, white color attracts moths, red color attracts wasps. And we see different types of insects, they like different colors. For example, white colors attracts moths, and moths like white colors, and red colors attracts wasps, that's wasps like red colors. Number fourth feature is the flowers usually produce specific odors. Any flowers usually produce specific odors to attract specific insects. And we have seen that such flowers are generally, they produce odor. Insect pollinated flowers generally produce odor. But different types of insects, they like different odors. These flowers usually produce specific odors, any different flowers produce different odors, and different odors attract different insects. That means different insects like different odors. For example, some insect like flies are attracted by unpleasant smell, while as some other insects they like pleasant smell, as we have seen bees. Any flies attract, they like unpleasant smell, while as honeybees and other insects they like pleasant smells. Number 5 is pollen grains are generally edible. And pollen grains of these insect pollinators, monoid plants or flowers are generally edible. They are edible. Similarly, another character, nectar. Nectar produced by some flowers, it is also an important attractant. And some insects they like color. Some are attracted by the edible pollen grains. Some are attracted by the smell of the pollen grains, and some others they are attracted by the nectar. Then they come to the flower for eating the nectar. So this nectar become an adaptation for which helps in pollination. Number 7th feature is the characteristic feature of the insect pollinated flowers is the presence of yellow viscous sticky substance. Yellow viscous sticky substance called pollen kit. This pollen kit is found on the surface of these pollen grains, and which acts as an insect attractant. Then this pollen kit acts as an insect attractant. And adherent. It not only attracts insects, but it sticks them with these pollen grains are sticked through with the peak of these insects. So in this way pollination takes place. Now the typical examples of insect pollinated flowers are Entaemophilous flowers are, that is salvia. A typical example of this type is salvia, which shows turnpipe or lever mechanism of pollination by honeybees. And one of the most important examples of this Entaemophilous pollination is pollination in salvia. A plant. It has a turnpipe or lever mechanism for pollination by honeybees. These are the features of Entaemophilous flowers. Let us repeat. The pollination by the agency of insects is called Entaemophilly, and such flowers are Entaemophilous flowers. The most common insect pollinators are moths, bees, flies, wasps, butterflies, etc. About 80% of the insect pollination is by bees. The Entaemophilous flowers develop following adaptations to attract insects, or they are characterized by the following features. Number first, the flowers are usually large, brightly colored, and showy to attract insects. Number 2, small flowers are bunched together to attract insects. For example, sunflower. Number 3, different colors of flowers attract different insects. For example, white color attracts moths, red color attracts wasps, etc. Number 4th feature is these flowers usually produce specific odors to attract specific insects. Some insects like flies are attracted by unpleasant smell, while others are attracted by pleasant smell. Number 5th feature, pollen grains of certain flowers are edible for insects. Number 6th feature, nectar produced by certain flowers is an important attractant for certain insect pollinators. Number 7th, the characteristic feature of the Entaemophilous flowers is the presence of yellow viscous sticky substance called pollen kit on their surface, which acts as an insect attractant and as an adherent to the insect body. The typical example, or one of the most important example of Entaemophilous flower pollination, is in salvia. It has a turnpipe or lever mechanism for pollination by honeybees. This is all for today. Thank you.